I think there are always, I mean, it's always an advantage to have interdisciplinary perspectives. You can, especially in the domain of migration, I mean, migration can be studied from so many perspectives, from economists to social psychologists, political scientists, anthropologists, sociologists. It's really a multidisciplinary domain. And this is simply an excellent thing. Now, when it comes to work together, obviously there are epistemological stances that sometimes are difficult to reconcile. There are theoretical positions that can be difficult to reconcile, but I think one way, especially to build bridges between qualitative and quantitative research, for instance, is when it comes like to, there is the qualitative research is very good at explaining why. The quantitative research is very good at measuring phenomena. And these two parts could go together very nicely, because you have big data, big pictures, and then you want to understand why different things work as they work, or why that result. So with quantitative study, you have wonderful results, robust results, but it's sometimes difficult to explain why you have that result. And this is when the qualitative research really comes in. Also, another way I think the two can go together is when the qualitative research is very good at building hypotheses that then can be tested through more quantitative and large N kind of studies. Like I have my findings, let me make an example, my findings on the implementation of visa policy could build empirically grounded hypotheses that then can be tested in many other contexts using quantitative methodologies and other kinds of methodologies. So this is another example, I think. I think the main, while I got a sense, like in this research or in other research, also about other policy domains with other kind of actors, always looking at practice. I take always this practice perspective. I can get a real sense of how things work. So how can we address these processes? So what are the elements that really matter when visa policy is implemented, when immigration detention is implemented, when deportations are implemented, what kind of actors are involved, and what are the issues at stake in these domains. There's always the one limit of this kind of research is the fact that I go in depth in some cases, but I cannot speak for all cases. That doesn't mean that you can't generalize, because you can generalize about the processes, but it's always, I mean, it's a study about a certain location, it goes in that kind of details. Then, I mean, there are misunderstandings. There is a very, very relevant article called 5 Misunderstandings About Case Study Research, thinking that the main misunderstanding is that if you can't generalize when you do this kind of research. But actually, this is a more philosophical issue. I mean, we all generalize from single cases. And And yes, in this sense, also the distinction between qualitative and quantitative methodologies sometimes inaccurate, the terminology is inaccurate. Sometimes we should talk of numerical and non-numerical research, because all research, both quantitative or qualitative, its scientificity relies on the explanation of the conditions of production of data. But there is no superiority as such of methodologies. So all data needs an explanation, both qualitative or quantitative. So sometimes also this distinction it's a bit inaccurate. Better talking of numerical and non-numerical research sometimes. Yeah. Oh, no, when I designed this is not, I don't conduct at all policy-driven research. So my questions, and in general, academia most of the time works like this. I mean, the questions are academic questions. They are not policy-driven questions. So we create our questions based on theories, literature, academic literature, not because something is relevant in the news, or because there is a political interest in getting more knowledge of a certain aspect of some phenomenon. So not. The issue of the relationship with the policy actors is something that comes in when you do qualitative ethnographic research. In the sense that you build relationships with people, you stay with them. In my case, for this research in particular, I've spent 2 years in the end with all the people involved in visa policy, ministries, so from the frontline workers to the consuls. So I've lived with these people, and obviously you develop relationships. And the point here, but this, I mean, this is a classical point, I think, in anthropology in general. The point is, how do you get out from the fieldwork? To which extent you can get out, but you must get out. And this also, there is the sociologist Erving Goffman, who talks about that fieldwork divides into 3 general problems: getting in a place, exploiting that place, and getting out from that place. Because then to do to write research, you need to get out from, you need to put a distance with your personal experience in that. This is a very important topic, and it depends also on with whom you conduct research. But however, yes, in my case, I can speak of my case. I mean, I put a distance with them, and this is also why you need time, and also why it's better, I think, to have this research strategy of going for a period of time. I found it better to go for a period of time in the field, then get out, then go in again, then go out. It allows you to put a distance. In my case, I was really a physical distance, because I was traveling to Morocco, living in Morocco for some months, and then going back to where I was based in Europe. And this facilitates also a kind of distance you put with your fieldwork setting. But certainly, yes, this is a very important topic. Each of us has its own experience, depending also on what are you researching on. But yeah, that's a huge topic. Yeah. The advice I would give, based on my own experience in obtaining funding for research, is that the methodology is very important. So the methodology, the research design must be very clear. I think this, I have experience in the European context, obviously, but I think this is probably a tendency, very well spread tendency of, I mean, a research project, the methodology must be very clear, the research design must be very clear. So you have the idea of what you want to do and how you're going to do it. This is something that must be very, very clear. I think this makes lots of difference in applications. At least in my experience, this is what I've always clarified very well.